Okay, so I'm gonna test this. Can you guys hear me in the back? Yes, is it too loud? No, okay, good, because I'm not used to using these things. I feel like usually I can project my voice enough, but this is a big room. My goodness, hi. Naturally, I'm a little bit nervous, if I can be honest, but this is very exciting. So I'm actually going to start today's talk asking you guys a series of questions. They're just going to be yes or no questions. We're going to do a bit of a lightning round, and I'm going to start off with some practice questions to begin with. So if I ask a question, and if the answer is yes, I just like you to put your hand up in the air and not like this, like I kind of need to see to the back of the room and everybody on the outside as well. So you're just going to shoot your hand up, high up in the air, okay? I'm going to start with an easy question first. Hands up. Where am I pointing this thing? There we go. Hands up if you are from Germany. That makes sense. Okay. Hands up if you are from somewhere else in Europe outside of Germany. Whoa, quite a number. I should put my hand up here too. Yeah, holy smokes. Where are you from? England. Switzerland. Poland. Yeah, in the back. Korea. Holy smokes. Actually, that's going to be the next one. Are you from somewhere else in the world? Hands up if you're from somewhere else. Really? Holy smokes. Where are you from? Brazil. Yes. Canada. Where else? Nice. Canada also. Yay. How many Canadians? I'm just curious now. Really? Yay. Wonderful. Okay, so that's pretty much how it's going to go. We're going to do more lightning round questions, but now we're getting into the vegan meat of things. Okay. So, which social media platform do you use? Hands up if you use Facebook. Hands up if you use Instagram. Okay. Hands up if you use Snapchat. Lots of the hands went down. Hands up if you use Twitter. Actually, more than Snapchat. That's interesting. Hands up if you, make YouTube videos. I'm seeing little hands. Up, up, up. What is your YouTube channel about? Weight loss. Very cool. I saw another hand here. Yeah, go for it. Traveling. Very nice. Another hand up I saw in the back there. Vegan recipes. Wonderful. Okay, now the question I think you guys thought, who watches YouTube videos? Whoa, okay, the whole room pretty much. And who here, we're not going to judge, doesn't really regularly watch YouTube videos at all? One person. Okay. All right. How plant-based are you? I'm going to give you 3 options. Option number 1 is vegan, mostly vegan. Okay, again, makes sense. Vegetarian or flexi-vegetarian? Super cool. You don't have a title or you're just a supportive friend or partner? Nice. Okay, cool. What is your number 1 reason for becoming plant-based? I'm going to give you 4 reasons in total here. What if it's health? Who's doing it for health first? Okay, decent number. Who's doing it for the animals or ethical? Holy smokes. Okay, a little more than half of the room here. And for environmental? Really? Almost also half the room. That's a lot, more than I expected. And for love? You're doing it to be the supportive partner. Oh, I'm seeing you lean in. That's really sweet. Super cute. Are you feeling engaged? Hands up if you're feeling engaged. Yeah? Okay, cool. Why did I start with questions? I'm going to be asking you guys a lot of questions, so just put your hand up if you've got an answer for me. I'm going to call on you. Why did I start this talk with questions? Yeah, go for it. As an icebreaker, definitely. And there's another reason. Go for it. To involve the crowd, definitely. I want to know more about you. You're my audience, right? I'm doing this talk for you guys today. And as much as I've prepared a little bit of a conversation that I want to have with you, now that I know what the audience is like I said, more people came from the environmental side. I didn't expect that for why people were becoming vegan. Now that I know you a little bit better, I can tailor my talk so that it addresses you. It's always really important when we're obviously talking about social media today, that you know a little bit more about your audience. You want to engage your audience and you want to essentially have communication with your audience. But what does this have to do with veganism and social media? I'm actually going to address this point kind of close to the end of the talk, so keep this in mind. We're going to come into it a little bit later. For now, I just want to let you know first a little bit about me, although I think he gave you guys most of the introduction at the start. My name is Sadia. I am a Canadian, and when I was living in Canada, I was practicing as a dietitian. But then I moved to the Netherlands, so just the country right next door, because of my lovely partner over here, who's going to be videoing some of this today. And I decided I was going to start up a blog and a YouTube channel called Pickup Limes. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about social media and its effects on veganism. So pretty much what we're going to talk about today is veganism and how it's on the rise. We're going to also talk about social media and how it's on the rise. And then we're going to talk about how social media might be able to help us spread the vegan message a little bit more. And then we're going to talk about how you might be able to get started. So we're going to geek out. I'm going to share some stats here. I know that everyone knows that veganism is on the rise, but I love geeking out a little bit and learning a little bit more. And so a lot of the information I'm going to be sharing with you today actually came from a study that was published by the United States Food and Agricultural Services, but it's about the vegan market in Germany. So again, I'm tailoring this to my audience. I knew that most of you guys are going to put your hands up and say you're from Germany. So let's look at the vegan stats here in Germany. So, according to this European Vegetarian Union, 10% of consumers in Germany are actually vegetarian, which is quite an incredible number. A tenth of the German population is vegetarian. Of everybody who's here in Germany, did you think you already knew that 10% of your population was, a decent number of you guys already knew that. I think that's an incredible number. And about 1% are vegans. But just looking at that 10% there, just so you guys know, that's half of the population of the Netherlands. So that would be as if half of the population of the country I now live in if they were vegetarians. I think that's so cool. The reason this is really interesting is it's actually doubled since just 2006. And this is my favorite part. It's estimated that every single day there's an extra 2,000 people in Germany alone becoming vegetarian and an extra 200 people every single day becoming vegan. So it's definitely on the rise and more people want to learn about it. Yeah, super cool. Now let's look a little bit more about the products that are being created here in Germany and as well as the restaurant kind of scene that's going on here. In 2016, 18% of the worldwide products, food and beverage products that were created came from Germany. 18%. Now I'm going to compare that to the United States. And just so that you guys know, Germany has a population that's a third of the size of the United States. The United States had 17% of the worldwide production of these kinds of foods. And comparing this from 2016, we're going to now look at 2012, only 1%. Germany increased from making only 1% 4 years prior to making 18% in 2016. So it's definitely booming. Over 5 years, we can see that milk alternative sales have gone up by 20%. Meat alternative sales have gone up by 22%, and soy yogurt sales up by 43%. And that, again, might not be a surprise. You maybe have walked around some of these stalls here today and seen how many people are offering different meat substitutes, how many people are offering vegan cheeses and things like that, right? It's incredible. This is, again, to show you the growth of just restaurants here in Germany. The lighter green one is vegetarian restaurants. So we can see vegetarian restaurants have boomed, but vegan restaurants have also risen here in Germany. And according to this study, they were saying that Happy Cow deemed Berlin the vegan mecca because you guys had so many restaurants here in Berlin. And I'm really excited after today's talk to go and explore some of those. That's really nice for us. So now we've talked about the growth of veganism here in Germany, but what's happening in the world? So you guys all know this Google search bar. Every day we're searching stuff into it. Google has become so common here that it's even become a word. Go Google it, right? And so what we can do nowadays, actually, Google has this information publicly available. You can track something called Google Trends. What words are people searching and how often are they searching it and how is that changing over time? So let's take an example. So what I did in this case, I took this screenshot myself just 2 days ago. I set the timeline on the bottom here to over the last 3 years. So this is the growth curve over the last 3 years. Then what I did is I set a filter saying worldwide. So what are the worldwide searches for the term vegetarian? Does everyone understand this? So over the 3-year period worldwide, how much more were people searching vegetarian? That's a pretty considerable increase. That's a 10-15% increase in how much people are searching vegetarian. What happens if we change that word at the top from vegetarian to vegan? That's about a 50% increase. So a lot more worldwide people are searching for the word vegan. Now this one is really interesting. The next term I'm going to search for, vegan restaurants. That's pretty huge. So globally, people are wanting to introduce veganism not only to their lives, maybe they just want to go out and find a place to eat, right? And we saw that the same thing was happening in Germany. So vegan restaurants are also on the rise. So it's not just in Germany. Globally, there's an awareness and veganism is growing. Now, my question for you is, who here thinks that this is just a fad, that it's going to plummet at some point? Hands up. Yeah, a few people think so. Can I ask you why? Yeah, okay. Anyone else wanted to say? Maybe not? Okay, well, let me turn that question around. Why do you think, and I'm going to give you the answer right there, but why do you think that veganism is maybe not a trend? Because a lot of you guys didn't put your hands up. Why do you think that it's here to stay? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it makes sense. Why does it make sense? Go for it. Absolutely. So her answer was we don't really have time. The environment needs it and other kind of factors might need it. And definitely, I think that's what it is. I think veganism is actually something that's bigger than ourselves. It's not just a dietary choice for a lot of people. It's not just about dietary restrictions. It's a lifestyle. People are realizing that on a population perspective, the standard American diet, it's causing unnecessary illnesses. We're realizing that environmentally, it's having irreversible consequences. And we're also recognizing, and I think because of media and our access to information, people are realizing that we don't want to be part of an industry that's harming animals. So I think veganism is on the rise, just like we're seeing here in these slides, and I think it's here to stay. So now that we've talked about veganism on the rise, what about social media? This information, by the way, is coming from a platform called We Are Social, and they track the trends that are happening in social media. And what we see here is that the population of planet Earth right now is 7.5 billion, of which 4 billion people have access to the internet, and 3 billion people are actively using social media. So about half of the world's population is now online. Is this surprising to anybody? Some people yes, for some people no. This chart here shows you the increase in social media use from just January of 2017 to January of 2018. And we can see that for a lot of countries, they're now using social media more. And if you were a little bit closer, you would see that a lot of those countries are a lot of the developing countries. But generally, the white bar there, you can see that worldwide, increase in social media use has gone up by 13%. So definitely more people coming online. This chart here, especially we're going to look at the orange bars. The orange bars here are showing you the social networks that are most used around the globe. For those of you who are closer up, which are the top 3 orange bars? Facebook, YouTube, and we're going to look at the orange bar, Instagram. So those are the main 3 social media platforms that are being used. Remember at the beginning I asked you guys which ones are you guys following? We saw that as well. Almost everybody had their hand up for Facebook. Almost everybody had their hand up for watching YouTube videos. And a lot of you guys had Instagram, but as soon as we asked about Snapchat and Twitter, those hands kind of just dropped, right? So we know that social media is on the rise. We know that veganism is on the rise. But how are those two things related? An increase in worldwide veganism has likely not caused an increase in social media use. Just because there's more vegans in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean more people are online. But because more people are online, and because there's more widespread information available online, it's very likely that it's also helping the propagation of the vegan message. And more people are starting to learn about veganism. Who here feels like they were first exposed to the concept of veganism through some way online, media, documentary, YouTube video, or something? All right, about half of the room, so a lot of you guys. And the reason I think that that's the case is because I feel like through social media, a lot of certain beliefs and myths that people have about veganism is starting to be debunked. So let me give you a few examples here. Is the food going to even look good? Right? A lot of people feel like vegan food just looks disgusting. And this is where Instagram has been really helping with this lately, right? How many of you guys are following Instagram accounts who are sharing like beautiful, tantalizing, mouth-watering vegan recipes? Okay, again, like half of the room. Totally. This is actually a friend of mine. Her name is Rainbow Plant Life. And her whole page is just incredibly looking vegan food. And she's making it look so delicious. But then some people will say, well, do you guys just eat salads? Is that all you eat? This guy, Avant-Garde Vegan, who knows about him? Yeah, a good number of you guys. He's got an Instagram account and a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel has exploded in the last year. And he creates all these really amazing chef-like culinary skills this guy's got. He's making burgers and ice creams, and he's showing people that veganism is not just salads. And again, we're seeing that in these stalls here today. Burger stalls and ice cream stalls, donut stalls. I'm going to be having that later on today. So veganism, yeah, doesn't mean just salads. This is every vegan's favorite question, right? Do vegans get enough protein? Lots of different bodybuilders on Instagram now showing us that, yep, you can enjoy that tofu and you can still beef up a little bit. Vegan beef up. Isn't it too expensive? Now we're going to launch into, so I shared some pictures just now on Instagram. Remember, those are one of the top 3 platforms that's being used. Let's launch into YouTube a little bit. Isn't it too expensive? There's loads of YouTube videos out there showing you that you can make easy vegan meals for $1.50, $2, maybe even $5 if you're willing to spend it, but it's not necessarily expensive. Aren't vegan recipes too complicated? Again, YouTube videos are showing us not necessarily. It can only be 5 ingredients, 3 ingredients. That kind of ingredient or those many ingredients doesn't necessarily mean that it's too complicated, right? Doesn't it take too long to make? Again, we've got videos showing you how you can make meals in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even 20 minutes. That's pretty reasonable also. And I think a lot of people are also wondering, what about my desserts? Am I going to miss out on that? Again, no, not necessarily. You can have your classics. And again, things that take only just 2 ingredients or 5 ingredients, that's all you require to make it. And finally, but where do I begin? It's all quite overwhelming. And I think this is what we try to focus on the Pickup Lines channel, is sharing information with people in a way that they can realize, yes, there is a way to begin and it's not so difficult. It doesn't have to be so difficult. And here's what you might be able to stock up on. Let's give you free grocery shopping lists and pantry lists so that you can stock up and then feel a little bit more empowered and it doesn't have to seem so complicated. Here are some vegan nutrition basics so you can see that it can be nutritionally complete. Here's how you can make your plate look so that it doesn't, it is nutritionally complete. So the next part I kind of wanted to mention is about YouTube videos specifically. And this is just an interesting side point. This is something that I learned myself personally when I was already an active YouTuber. I thought this was very fascinating. Who here knows which company owns and operates YouTube? A lot of you guys know. Yeah, let's go with you. What's that? Totally. It's Google. And the reason I think that this is incredibly fascinating as well is, again, we already talked about this before, a lot of people are using Google a lot more these days, right? And so now what happens is we're searching into the search bar, maybe somebody's new to the vegan lifestyle and they feel like, okay, I'm a vegan beginner, I want to learn more about it. And so they search it up. And what would have happened before is you would get a list of things and blog posts and places where you can read more about veganism, right? But what's happening these days is you'll also see this. The videos are popping up too. And let me ask you, as somebody who might have been new to veganism, would you rather read a blog post where somebody's telling you how to adopt a vegan lifestyle, or would you rather watch a video of somebody explaining it to you? Right. Most people would rather watch a video. And this is yet another reason why I think social media is also on the trend, because one of those big guys, one of those big platforms, YouTube, is directly linked to Google. And we're also noticing that videos just generally are also on the rise. Compare Facebook today to Facebook 5-10 years ago. You're scrolling through your feed. How many more videos are you seeing now? A lot more. Instagram used to be just pictures. What is it now? Instagram stories, Instagram TV, we're shifting also towards videos in our social media. So now the question becomes, okay, we know veganism is on the rise. We know social media is on the rise. We know that there's a connection between the two, but how do we get started? The first question is when. I'm going to break this down, by the way, into 3 different parts. When do we get started? With who do we get started? And why do we get started? So the first one is when. When do we get started? I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions first. Of everybody here in the room, who's already sharing something related to veganism on one of their social platforms? Either recipes or a post. Somebody's just said every day. Yes. Okay, a decent number. How many of you wish or feel like you want to share a little bit more? Yeah? Okay, that's still a really decent number of people. And how many of those people feel like you're just a little bit hesitant for one reason or another? That's also still a decent number of people are feeling some hesitation to share a little bit more. If there's one thing that I can recommend when it comes to when to start with sharing the vegan message, it would be to just start now. I think a lot of the times we freak ourselves out when we want to start sharing something on a social platform. I will tell you openly and honestly, I was freaked out at the idea of doing this because I was like, I'm working full time. I'm a dietitian. I'm good with the way I'm doing things. What are my colleagues going to think of me suddenly becoming a YouTuber? Well, how is that going to reflect on me? And do I even know enough to share it? And who's going to even want to know what I might want to share? So there's a lot of hesitation and there's a lot of fear that can go into it. But I'll tell you right now, the scariest moment is always just before you begin. So if that's why you're hesitating, just get started and you're going to learn more and you're going to take better pictures or better photos or have a better message to share. So just get started. So that's the when. These pictures look funny, don't they? The next question, or the next point is, well, who? Now, I've been talking to several people who've been wanting to start YouTube channels, and one of the first things that they'll ask me is, I'm psyching myself out and I'm not starting because I don't know who to target. I think some people want to know about this and I think other people want to know about that, and there's just so much information to share, and where do I begin and with who do I share this information? And this is why I shared with you that globally we have about 3 billion active users on social media, right? 3 billion. You can't possibly try to address all of those people. So the difference between the global audience is we also have your own audience. And so the main point I want to share here is think about the message that you wanted to hear when you first started veganism. Think about the people who you might be following on social media, and why do you follow those people? Why do they maybe inspire you? And what information really sparks joy with you when you think about what you want to share? That's the information you want to put out there, and just let people, there's 3 billion people, let them come to you. They'll subscribe if they like it, they'll like a picture if they want to, but if they don't, then they'll carry on. But the point is, just put the information out there, the information that you know you want to share, and let those people naturally attract to you, and this is where you engage those audience members, right? Once you've got them in the room, once you've got them joined on your social platforms, that's when you can engage with them. Ask them questions and involve them, take their requests and make more information based on their requests. This is something my mentor once told me before I first started, because I had created these videos and I'd created these blog posts and I just wasn't putting them up because I was nervous that they weren't good enough. Like, my first pictures were terrible, and my first videos I feel like were cringeworthy. And she's like, if you're proud of the first material you ever put out there, you waited way too long. You can always take that back. You can always take something offline if you want to, but don't let that be the reason that you're not putting it up there. The last point I wanted to mention is the why. And I want to let you guys know at the end now why I actually started down this journey. So like I said, I was working as a dietitian in a hospital in Vancouver, in Canada. And I was working with a large range of different populations. I was working with people who had just had heart attacks, for example, and they needed to learn more about nutrition and how it could better their heart health. I was working with young babies who were born prematurely, so I had to work with their moms to figure out what feeding schedule can we get them on so that they get better pretty soon. I was working with women who were overcoming substance addiction. So they were coming off of heroin and meth. And often when that happens, some of those women spiral into eating disorders. So I was working a lot with women who had eating disorders. So I was working with a large different kinds of range of people. And I found the work that I did incredibly fascinating. No plans on changing that up anytime soon. Then I went traveling to Southeast Asia and I met a friend of mine, who's now a friend of mine, and he was a YouTuber. And I was taking pictures and videos as I was going around on my trip just so I could update family on what I was doing and what I was up to. And one day he said to me, Sadia, would you ever consider starting a YouTube channel? And I was like, no, why would I consider doing that? I'm totally content and happy with the work that I do. And he said, well, let me ask you something. Why do you do the work that you do? Why do you do the work that you do? And I was like, well, I like helping people. And that's totally a selfish thing. I just like the feeling I get when I get to help people. And he said, okay, are you nervous about starting a YouTube channel? Is there something that would be holding you back? And I'm like, yeah, it's easy for you to say. I mean, some of your videos have a few thousand views. If I've made some videos, who's necessarily going to watch that? And how many people are going to, like 100 people? I don't know. I just don't know. He said, okay, let me ask you one more thing. On your best day at the hospital, how many people might you be able to work with? Give me the maximum number. And I was like, okay, I might see a patient an hour. And if I have a class that day, okay, on maximum 30, I might see 30 people in a day. And he was like, okay, do you realize that if you were to make a YouTube video, it might take you 1 day to make it? Then you put it up there. In the beginning, after a week, maybe 30 people have seen it. But after a month, maybe 100 people have seen it. And after 3 months, maybe 1,000 people have seen it. But 1,000 people saw it based on 1 day of your work. Whereas right now, 1 day of your work, you only see maximum 30 people. And that shifted my whole perspective. That was my why. Because I suddenly realized, wow, I can actually reach a lot more people. And this is where I think a lot of the times people get applause is when they're surgeons. And I wanted to be a surgeon, so I still kind of bow to surgeons. They do incredible work. They save lives. They save 3 or 4 or 5 people a day if they have so many surgeries. But I think in a lot of ways, veganism also saves lives. We're saving the lives of animals, right? And we can save the lives of people who might not otherwise need to get sick because they're following certain lifestyle choices that can be reversed. Right? So I think sharing the message through social media and realizing that you can reach so many more people, 3 billion potentially people, that's incredible. And that was my why power. That was the reason I started down this path. And just to put this in perspective, these are some stats and analytics from the Pickup Limes YouTube channel. And I just want to show you this part here at the beginning where it's flatlined. That's where most people give up. That's where most people feel like it's not growing, it's not gaining traction. No one is liking this, no one is watching this. But because I had a strong why power, because that friend of mine had told me the message that he did, what you don't see here, yeah, the subscriber count was really low, but what you don't see here is that those videos were getting 30, 40, 50 views, which to a lot of people doesn't seem like much, especially when you compare it to the YouTubers you're watching who get 1 million views, 300,000 views, right? But for me, I was like, yep, that's a day's work. Good job, Sadia, right? So if your why power shifts, your whole perspective shifts. And then it's just like trying to push a Ferris wheel from standstill, right? It's going to be really, really hard in the beginning, and it's like hardly going to move, but once it starts rolling, you can't get that Ferris wheel to stop even if you tried, right? It's the same story. Once you continue to put some content out there, regardless of what platform you do it on, it's going to gain traction and it's going to grow. I don't know what the growth curve is going to look like, but I can guarantee it's going to grow. And this one was just fun. I thought I would share this one too. Again, of all of the subscribers that we have on our YouTube channel, Germany is actually our 4th largest subscriber base. And of all of the videos that we've put out there, 8 million minutes have been watched by Germans alone. And if we were to put that into years and days, that's 15 years and 67 days. So that would be essentially me standing here, talking, not stopping to sleep or go to the bathroom or eat for 15 years straight. And that's how much information I was able to get across in the last year and a half. I would never have been able to have that kind of reach doing the work I was doing. Now I just want to say, like a little disclaimer, being a dietitian was amazing, and I wouldn't have changed it for anything. And for anybody who's pursuing that kind of career, it's wonderful. But this is just the path that I chose, and I think it's super cool to see the reach that you can have through social media. And I'm going to end this little talk with a comment, actually, that somebody left on the last video that I put up on the channel, and I just feel like it's the perfect way to conclude everything that we've talked about here today. And she said, "What a wonderful time to be alive. Thanks to these tools, we get the chance to get in touch with people around the globe and to be full of happiness to see them happy. People you don't even know. Your joy in this video gave me so much comfort. May the universe bless you, little one. Much love from Brazil." And that's the amazing thing about social media. You reach people from all over the world. So that's it. Thank you.